A couple of weeks ago, I had an idea and thought it would be cool to build something with AI. At first, it was just a learning project on the web for me to start using Cursor. But after 2 days of casual work, I got really positive feedback from real users based on a prototype. Now, I've collaborated with an experienced iOS developer to get this built and ready for launch on the App Store. How did I do it? I'll share it now. I had a Cursor Pro, but hadn't used it for a while, and I've always wanted to try some vibe coding projects. A couple of weeks ago, when I reviewed my early content on how to improve English, I just found that a method I used when I moved to this new country could be a good way. It's called just a minute, which is to pick a random topic and talk about it for 1 minute without limitation. I did it a couple of years ago when I joined Toastmasters, and also I do it by recording myself 2 or 3 times per day and listening to it. After around 100 times, I got some really good feedback and improvement. It was a good practice, but the problem is that I cannot get any feedback. It's just a one-directional practice. But now with AI's power, I can get personalized feedback from any LLM tool. I thought, why don't I just build a tool that I can use and other people can use it as well? So the first step for me is to create a GPT. Because I didn't want to start coding or do any handiwork at first, I just wrote a very clear prompt to ask ChatGPT to give me feedback based on my input. The idea is simple because ChatGPT already has a voice-to-text feature, and it can just review my input and give me language feedback and maybe even some examples. I drafted a GPT and it worked. Then I shared it on social media and asked people, hey, I built a free GPT to evaluate your speech. Could you give me some feedback or would you try it? A few people tried it and gave me positive feedback, which is a good signal. My next step was starting to use Cursor. It was my first time. I had no knowledge of it. If I'm doing it again, I probably would spend some time to read the documentation or check some examples. But at that time, I just jumped straight in and started to interact with Cursor. I already know that it's a trick to build an iOS app because I know iOS has some complexity and isn't that friendly for non-tech users. So I decided to start building a web app first and see how it works. At first, I tried to describe my need, but it was not very handy. It was really tricky. Then I did a typical designer's way. I created a draft and some sketches in FigJam, and it was really a lo-fi. So I sketched out what the flow looks like step by step, and then I pasted it into Cursor and asked Cursor to build it for me. And then Cursor analyzed and found, okay, you need a ChatGPT API and you need to confirm which voice-to-text engine you want to use. To be honest, many of the questions that I didn't know why, and I just tried to provide the information it needed. For example, the API key. And then after a few tries, probably 2 or 3 hours, the functional prototype was ready. I shared it on social media and asked people to try it and give me some feedback. At this stage, they didn't need to log in to or have access to ChatGPT. It was pretty much available on the web, and I hosted it on Verso. I drafted a survey on Tally and sent it to those people via private message on Twitter. Then I went to sleep. Next day, I checked the result and got more than 10 valuable responses to that survey. And by the end of that day, I collected 20 high-quality feedback responses via the survey. And that's the green flag. It showed me, okay, this could be a real thing. Then I did 2 things. I shared these concepts with a colleague that I used to collaborate with. He's a skilled and experienced iOS developer. I just asking, hey, what do you think? This is a prototype. I just mocked it up. And what's your thought on that? And on the other hand, I started to try to close the loop for the web app by adding Stripe functionality to enable people to get paid. To pay for the app. The next day, the engineer replied with a message like, oh, this is super cool, I want in. And then he decided to join me to build an iOS app. I didn't even pitch him for this, but I knew that an iOS app would be a better way to solve this problem. Long story short, I got back into the traditional design process from lo-fi to hi-fi and collaborated with this engineer. And the app is ready. We submitted to App Store and now it's ready for launch and it's available now. It only took 20 days from the kickoff to launch, which would be never happen if we didn't have AI support or empower us to do this. So what did I learn from this? If you are a designer, this is the best time for you to explore different ideas with available AI tools. Just have a try, and you might be surprised by the outcome you get. Use it at work or for your personal projects. Just have a try. If I'm doing it again, I probably will start using Git at the very beginning. I find managing versions with those vibe coding tools is a tricky thing. And the first draft is okay, but after a few tries, if you want to roll back, that's the tricky part. And have a countable way to solve the problem if there are some issues with your product. For me, that means I don't want to vibe code some tool and get it launched with some paid customers complaining about issues and I don't know how to solve them. A practical tip is to start using Claude or Cursor to build some tools. And if you are a designer, start using Lovable. These tools are quite reasonable in price. So start by subscribing a monthly subscription and you can cancel it anytime. Have a try. $20 is a very reasonable price to start building your dream product. I'll share more details of this product and behind-screen stories. So if you haven't subscribed it, please do, and I will see you in the next video.